So you want to talk about cost analysis. So let's get started then. So what do you have to show us today?
Yes. So yeah, if you want to throw up my screen here, I'm actually sharing my screen. I've got the Azure portal open, and here's actually a quick view of cost analysis in the portal for a subscription. So you can use cost analysis on a subscription, and you can access it right from the subscription blade. You also can utilize cost analysis, though, if you've got a large organization that's maybe signed a contract with Azure, and you've got a bunch of subscriptions. You can use cost analysis as well for your entire organization to view the costs all up across everything. But this is basically a great tool for you to use if you want to understand where the money is going quickly in the portal itself, and be able to kind of slice and dice those costs, and explore and see where the money is going. So I'll kind of walk through some of the functionality that's available to you within cost analysis, if you are looking to go gain a little bit better understanding of things. So when I first open up the tool for a subscription, for example, it shows you an accumulated cost graph. And my apologies again for the size of this. I've zoomed in the screen a bunch just so that folks can kind of see the text. All good. Yeah, no worries, Frank. But basically, this graph here is an accumulated cost graph that shows you how the cost for the month of November, you can see here, has accumulated over time. And I've actually overlaid a budget that I created on this subscription as well on the graph. So you can actually see on November 5th, I exceeded the budget of $100. So, this might be something, that I could utilize this cost analysis tool to actually go and, figure out what are the most expensive resources that are costing money. And, from there, I could then potentially take action to go reduce the costs. But yeah, Nitin kind of walked through the budgets demo, to discuss, to have the ability to be able to proactively, manage and react to the spending as it's occurring, right? By getting notifications. This is a great tool that you could potentially use to help you actually understand what you should set your budget to, because it can allow you to really get a good understanding for where the costs are right now. So then you can set the thresholds appropriately. But yeah, so this tool basically at this point, I've got a graph here and where I'm showing the accumulated cost throughout the month of November. So in November, for example, the subscription, it accrued $677 of cost. And I've got this budget overlaid. But there's a ton of different tools available to you here. So for example, you can go and you can filter the costs if you wanted. So I could say, let's say, for example, I only want to see costs for a specific resource group. I could go and I could filter the costs down based off of that specific resource group to see, how much that's spending. Let's say someone in my organization had come to me and they'd said, hey, this team that owns this resource group, I think that they've been spending a lot. Can you do a quick analysis? This would give you the ability to do that.
Yeah, that will be a great way to, for example, if you have different environments, so you have the same project in different environment, and you want to know, okay, I'm having project X running, and the QA part is running. So is it costly, or how much does I spend having that QA environment always up? And then because we deploy in one resource group, that will be the best way to track that specific environment or that specific project. Is it right? Is it what you're saying?
Exactly. And I know I've only got a couple more minutes here, so I just want to just briefly mention some of the additional functionality. So for example, along with filtering, you can actually group your costs by a similar dimension of it. So, again, when you accrue costs, you've got metadata associated with those costs. And this tool allows you to slice and dice according to that metadata. So that's if you're looking to construct your own view. But we've also got a bunch of kind of pre-baked views that we think would be useful for you, as you're, analyzing the cost. So one of those is the invoice details, for example. So let's say you want to go and you want to see the same view in cost analysis that you've been seeing on your invoice. That would be in the view here for invoice details. So if I throw that up, that shows a quick table that shows you a breakdown of the cost as you would see it on your invoice. So yeah, that's just a quick rundown right now of kind of some of the features. I guess, how much more time do I have on this demo at this point, Frank?
About we can go up to 2 minutes if you want to show us more.
Great. Yeah. So so I've kind of discussed some of these pre-built-in views, but let's say, for example, you've got a view here that you've constructed where you wanted to group by resource group, let's say. You also have the ability to, for example, like in this graph here, right, I've got an accumulated cost graph. But in the graph over here, I've actually gone and I've changed that view to be a column graph. And I've grouped by resource group, and I've made it to be at the daily grain throughout November.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So this is basically, it's allowing me to see how much each resource group is costing me on every day. So for example, you can see on the 20th, this A-Hub resource group was costing me $16.96. And so this could be a great way for you to see, are certain resources groups increasing in cost a lot throughout the month? Or in this case, it looks like we have a fairly static, day over day cost. So there hasn't been a huge amount of change there. But again, this tool can be super useful to allow you to isolate as things are changing over the month. Maybe somebody spun up a super expensive resource and this resource group spiked in cost. This would be a view, for example, that, might be useful to allow you to isolate something like that and then drill in further if you want, using some of the filtering that we have. But yeah, another thing just to bring up quickly before we wrap up is that, so let's say I've created this view and I want to share it with some of my, some people throughout my organization. We have the ability for you to share the actual view that you've created with other folks. And you can even save the view as well if you wanted to come back and look at it at another time. But yeah, that's cost analysis in a kind of quick rundown. And would happy to be, answer any questions folks might have. Yeah.